Send me to kill the Emperor. I cannot kill Anakin. He is like a brother to me.
To fight this Darth Sidious, strong enough you are not.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, obviously I'm not Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda, so I can't actually do their real voices. I can just try a cheap imitation. And secondly, the quotes that I just did, I'm sure they're not exact quotes. I'm sure I messed up some of the words, and I'm sure those aren't the exact words that they said, but there's something along the lines. It's something along the lines of what I just said, so it's close enough. But what if Yoda went to fight Anakin on Mustafar? And there's a few different layers to this scenario. Scenario number one, Yoda fights Anakin Skywalker on Mustafar, and Obi-Wan Kenobi fights Darth Sidious on Coruscant. But scenario number two, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda go fight Anakin Skywalker on Mustafar. So, in scenario number one, if Yoda by himself went to fight Anakin on Mustafar, would Yoda follow Padme there, or would Yoda just know to go there? Would Yoda just use his force senses to figure out that Anakin was on Mustafar and would he just go there on his own? Or would he also talk to Padme and take her there as well? Because that determines what happens to Padme, because if she never sees Anakin turn to the dark side, then she might just live on and have her children. Of course, she would see him eventually, but so the point is, you see what I'm trying to say here? I think, so because Yoda is so smart and wise, as much as I hate to say it because I despise Yoda, Yoda would probably know to go to Padme first, and then Yoda would figure out that Padme is pregnant, and Yoda would follow Padme to Mustafar. And the same thing would happen where Anakin would choke Padme and Yoda would start fighting with Anakin. And by the way, Yoda's face here is so funny. Like, look at his eyes and his mouth. I'm just going to focus up here for a moment. So, Yoda would easily kill Anakin Skywalker. And I know many people would disagree with this assessment, but I think it's true. Because, okay, let's say that Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader was fighting against Return of the Jedi Yoda, then of course Darth Vader would win and Yoda would lose. But in Revenge of the Sith, Yoda is still fairly powerful, and Yoda is still the guy who managed to have somewhat of a fight with Darth Sidious, even though Yoda was losing pretty badly. He still managed to keep up for a while. So Yoda is still pretty powerful, and Darth Vader has not reached his full potential yet. So Yoda would easily kill Anakin Skywalker. On Mustafar, and the fight would be very quick. I don't even think it would last that long. So Yoda's killed Anakin Skywalker, and Yoda would immediately try to take care of Padme, but then Yoda would realize that he needs to go help Obi-Wan fight Darth Sidious, and so Yoda would probably call Bail Organa, and Bail Organa would pick up Padme and make sure that she's doing well, and of course she would not be doing well, she would be dying, but Bail Organa would stay with Padme as Padme is giving birth to Luke and Leia, while Yoda would go hurry up and return to Coruscant, and Yoda would help Obi-Wan Kenobi fight Darth Sidious. And in this scenario, it really depends on how smart Obi-Wan Kenobi is. And by that I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi is powerful, but he's not the strongest. And so he often wins fights because he's smart. When Obi-Wan Kenobi was fighting against Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan Kenobi had the high ground, had the very, very high ground. And so Obi-Wan Kenobi used the high ground to his advantage and defeated Anakin Skywalker. And that was because Obi-Wan Kenobi was acting smart. He was fighting smart. Even though Anakin was stronger, Obi-Wan Kenobi was smarter, and he managed to defeat Anakin and basically throw him in lava. Also, when Obi-Wan Kenobi was fighting Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi was fighting smart. He was a lot smarter. So when Darth Maul had the upper hand, and when Darth Maul had the high ground, Obi-Wan Kenobi managed to jump up and slice Darth Maul in half, because while Darth Maul was much stronger than Obi-Wan Kenobi was much smarter. So Obi-Wan Kenobi would probably at least for like the first 38 seconds or maybe 7 seconds, he would keep up with Darth Sidious for a while, and then Obi-Wan would realize that he's too weak and he would probably have to dodge and deflect and all that. And another thing is, Darth Sidious would try to inflict emotional turmoil and emotional pain on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Sidious would try to destabilize Obi-Wan Kenobi emotionally and mentally. And Darth Sidious would be like, hey, remember, Obi-Wan? Darth Sidious would say, hey, Obi-Wan, remember when my apprentice Darth Maul killed your master Qui-Gon Jinn? Remember when my apprentice Count Dooku used to teach your master Qui-Gon Jinn? Remember how Count Dooku used to be Qui-Gon Jinn's master? Remember how my apprentice Darth Sidious, remember how my apprentice Darth Vader used to be your apprentice Anakin Skywalker? See, one of my apprentices killed your master, the other one of my apprentices trained your master, and now my current apprentice used to be your apprentice. You're such a failure, Obi-Wan. You're such a failure, Obi-Wan. You're such a failure, Obi-Wan. And so Darth Sidious would just totally emotionally and mentally abuse Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is pretty good at controlling his emotions, but maybe that would get to him, maybe that wouldn't, because Obi-Wan Kenobi sure is good at controlling his emotions, but at the same time, in this scenario, when Obi-Wan Kenobi was facing Anakin, he was able to keep his emotions in check because he knew that defeating Anakin was a very important thing to do. Whereas when Obi-Wan Kenobi in this scenario has not seen Anakin in person, has not seen Anakin turn to the dark side in person, and so he'd be wondering about how terrible Anakin is and how awful Anakin is, and that would really just continue to bother Obi-Wan, and he'll be thinking, maybe I should have gone to Mustafar and talked to him and turned it back to the light side. Maybe it's my fault if Anakin dies or doesn't come back at all. And so Obi-Wan might be emotionally unbalanced, and so he might not fight as smart, so maybe Darth Sidious would kill him. Or maybe Darth Sidious wouldn't even need to do emotional or mental turmoil, and Darth Sidious could just kill Obi-Wan Kenobi with sheer brute strength. So if Darth Sidious kills Obi-Wan Kenobi, then Yoda would just have to return to Coruscant and face Darth Sidious on his own, and the fight would go very similarly, and Darth Sidious would probably win and Yoda would have to escape or die. So there's that. Or let's say Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi face Darth Sidious together. Maybe they still manage to escape. I just don't think Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi could ever beat Darth Sidious, even with the two of them, because I think Darth Sidious was much more powerful than Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Darth Sidious was more powerful than any Jedi like Mace Windu or anyone else. So that's the deal. So let's think about it. I think that if Yoda killed Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi was fighting Darth Sidious, I think Obi-Wan Kenobi would be smart enough to survive at least like a few minutes, enough for Yoda to get there and join the fight. And Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi would fight Darth Sidious, and from there, I think Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi would probably be able to escape the fight if it went really badly. And if they escaped, then they would just go and they would just go back to Bail Organa and then send Leia to Alderaan and take Luke to Tatooine. And basically everything would be the same as the original trilogy, except for the fact that Darth Vader would actually be dead, so Darth Sidious would just find another apprentice to do that, and of course Luke and Leia would have to train and get stronger, and it's hard to tell what would happen in that scenario. Or the other scenario is that Darth Sidious is just too powerful for them, and Darth Sidious kills Yoda and he kills Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Sidious just wins. And even though Darth Vader is dead, Darth Sidious has basically killed Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and so Darth Sidious has won completely, and Darth Sidious would probably... Now, if Darth Sidious killed Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, would he be able to find Luke and Leia? That's interesting, because Bail Organa is very smart, and he's such a fascinating, good character, Bail Organa is. And so Bail Organa would maybe he would be able to hide Luke and Leia. Maybe he'd be able to hide Luke and Leia effectively. It's very possible. Or maybe Darth Sidious would find them. So, really, if Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi died at the hands of Darth Sidious, then Bail Organa would have to take matters into his own hands, and Bail Organa would be very busy and have a lot to do. That'd be very interesting. Maybe Luke would go live with Mon Mothma, and Bail Organa would raise Leia. Or maybe Bail Organa would try to find other Jedi. Maybe Bail Organa would contact Ahsoka Tano, and Ahsoka Tano would take care of Luke or Leia, or both of them. Or maybe Bail Organa would find Jocasta Nu, and Jocasta Nu would take care, or maybe Alpha Rancis or Cole Mikaj. So yeah, But as I mentioned, in the other scenario where perhaps, what was that? Perhaps, let's say, Yoda and Obi-Wan go to Mustafar, then Yoda and Obi-Wan would just kill Anakin Skywalker, and Yoda and Obi-Wan would face Darth Sidious, and then we would be faced with a similar outcome that I described. So actually, I was wrong. The scenario is not as complicated as I thought it was. It's actually pretty simple. So whatever scenario happens, I think even if Anakin Skywalker truly dies, so starting from the premise that Yoda goes to Mustafar, if we assume the premise that Yoda goes to Mustafar, then Yoda definitely kills Anakin Skywalker, and Anakin Skywalker definitely dies. And secondly, Yoda and Obi-Wan would fight Darth Sidious, but Darth Sidious would still be too strong for them, so whether or not Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda make it out of the fight alive is a question. And from there, things can be open-ended or maybe closed-ended. So, yes, actually, this scenario is much less complicated than I thought it would be. So, that was interesting. So there we go.